check this out. Check out this enormous 3-litre jar of fermented vegetables that I whipped up just so that we could have a conversation about fermented veggies. Actually, that's not true. Let's start with the origins of the name of this nutrient-dense nugget that I'm coming to you with every Wednesday morning, because my lovely friend Erin suggested that we call these chicken nuggets, all related to, hello Miss Tanya, good to see you, related to my Friday morning chickens, aka check-ins, but that, you guys did not like that. You did not like that at all. Hello Miss Geeta, good to see you. Morning. How's all the house painting going? You did not like that at all. You didn't like the play on words. So we have reverted back to nutrient density nuggets, because my quest this year is to up my nutrient density. So every Wednesday I thought I might share a little tidbit with you of some of the stuff that I'm doing to increase the level of nutrient density in my day. And this week we are talking about fermented veggies. Last week, if you missed it, was all about blueberries. So, today, this thing is quite heavy. Today I want to talk to you about why you should be eating more fermented veggies. Oh, Tanya, I'm sorry. And why they're so good for you. And also, how I make my fermented veggies. And spoiler alert, it is ridiculously easy. Ridiculously easy. I'm eating lots of blueberries at the moment too, Miss Tanya. So this thing is 3 litres. So to make my life easy, I've got a wee one for you too. So, fermented vegetables. One of the very first things that I discovered and learnt or taught myself how to make when I AIP caper over 6 years ago now. And the thing about these beautiful things are that they taste great. They are an awesome way to add more vegetables to your plate. And we all know that we should be having plates 3 full of vegetables, girls. I'm glad you like that golden kraut, mosquito. There is a recipe for the golden kraut on my website. Thanks for bringing that up. I will pop a link to that underneath the video after I've finished. So an awesome way to add more veggies. It is crazy cheap for you to make them because this is seasonal and it's local. So this stuff is, there's no reason not to. It's really good for your gut. So all that stuff that we're trying to do on the autoimmune protocol to heal our gut and to make ourselves, give ourselves every opportunity to heal. And side bonus, if you are a sugar lover, if you are one of these people that really suffers from sugar cravings, these little babies are really good for minimizing your sugar cravings, because little known fact, the good bacteria in fermented vegetables, they eat up all of that bacteria in your gut that gives you those sugar cravings. So eating more of this actually helps you with those sugar cravings. Isn't that a handy tip? So fermenting foods relies, or lacto-fermenting foods more specifically, relies on the environment and the life on and in your raw foods to preserve it. It is an ancient preserving technique. And I think when fermentation was first discovered, it was really as a preserving technique, not as a way to add more beneficial gut bacteria to your little tummy. Hello, Miss Erin. Good to see you. And the bonus of this is that it introduces all sorts of new textures and aromas and deeper flavors to all of your vegetables that you ferment. So the thing about your fermented veggies is that they are chock full of living bacteria They're full of yeasts and enzymes, and all of these things serve to enhance the nutrition that you're taking in and aid in the digestion of other foods. It is good to see you, Miss Erin. So, in case you're new to this thing, did you know that we have around 10 trillion human cells? 10 trillion. But we have around 100 trillion microbial cells. So, you know, all of this live stuff that is living on our person, that make up who we are, that scientists now understand contribute more to our health or our lack of health than we could have ever imagined. So when you are eating this stuff, you are feeding those microbial cells. And what makes this even more amazing is that the difference in I know it's absolutely scary when you start thinking about it, Miss Tanya. When you start thinking about the differences in the human genome, that is the genes that make us human, between any two human beings, so between me and you, Tanya, you, Geeta, you, Miss Erin, between the two of us, the differences are microscopic in comparison to the difference in our microbiota. Hello, Miss Anna. Hello, Miss Donna. Good to see you girls. Thanks for joining. So the difference is so much bigger in terms of our microbiota. So what's going on in our microbiome is much more extreme than the differences between our human genome. And let me give you an example of this. We share 99.99% of our human genome and only 10% of our microbiota. 10%. That's huge. The difference is huge. That just blows my mind. So when we eat more fermented foods, and specifically I'm talking about fermented vegetables today, and I'm going to talk about why in a minute, we are feeding that microbiota. We are doing really good things for the living organisms on our body. We're giving them good food. So this is why these babies are so good for you. Now, why do I love fermenting my vegetables? I love fermenting my vegetables because it's like a science experiment. You never know what you're going to end up with, because you can use the same ingredients, but because the living bacteria on the vegetables are different, you might source them from a different place, the temperature of the air might be different, you might use more or less salt, whatever. It is different every time. You never get the same thing twice. It sort of hooks into my whole love of this slow food ethos. So it means that you take time. You can't rush nature. So I prepared this on Saturday in readiness for our AIP reset, which is kicking off on the 1st of February. So that's 2 weeks that this is going to be fermenting. So it takes at least 2 weeks for this to be ready, for all of the good bacteria to be enhanced. So there is that slow food ethos. It forces you to slow down, and there's something quite meditative about this. Miss Tanya, I can't read all of your comments, so I'm going to have to go back and read it after I finish this video. It's kind of a creative process, right? So in this jar, this 3-litre jar, and the little baby jar, because I had a little bit of extra, I've got 1 red cabbage, 1 green cabbage, a few white radishes, a couple of apples, and some caraway seeds. The caraway seeds are an AIP reintro. And it's, you know, I'm just playing around with what's in season, what's available, and what's local. So, you know, it's supporting my local farmers. And shout out to Karawong Organics, who provide me with all of my organic vegetables for all of my ferments, because I know that Karawong give me really good quality food. And because I'm concerned about the living bacteria, I want to make sure that my vegetables are organic if at all possible, because it makes a difference to the end product. Completely agree with you, Miss Erin. So it's economical, right? So this is in season. At the market, I picked up a red cabbage and a green cabbage, lugged it home and shredded it, and it was cheap as chips. It's not expensive. And you can see the size of that jar, 3 litres, it will last me a while. So, it's not expensive. It's uber nutrient dense, so it really serves this need that we have, especially when we are interested in being more healthful, to really look after the health of our gut and our microbiome. It gives you a bit of an extra umami flavour to your meals, and it makes really good presents as well. People love it when you give them homemade presents. So, when you're making this amount, it's easy for you to give away a little jar every now and then. My sister has my ferments. I'm not sure how often she eats them, but she loves it when I give her a jar of my ferments. So there are oodles of reasons for you to ferment your vegetables, as well as the fact that they are seriously nutrient dense. So the process, very quickly, because this is a nugget, this is not a full-on expose on how to ferment your veggies, is to have a clean vessel. So I use, these are my picklet jars that I've had now for 8 years, I think. So clean vessel. I don't worry about having a sterilized jar. I'm looking for healthy bacteria, so I make sure it's very clean, but I don't worry about sterilizing it. Then I have my vegetables. I usually use cabbage as a base because you want to be able to massage this baby and release some of the starches and make it more liquid. So cabbage is good for that. And then I play around with what I add to that. You don't necessarily have to. You can make a brine, but when I'm just talking straight fermented veggies, cabbage is my base. And so it literally is, you can make it as simple as you like. Cabbage and salt. That's it. You can make a really good batch of fermented vegetables with cabbage and salt. So what we do is we shred our cabbage. You can do it by hand. You can do it in your food processor. Then we add salt. And the rule of thumb is anywhere between 1.5 to 2.5% of your cabbage weight in salt. I just use a fine Himalayan sea salt. Then I stick it in a big bowl and I whack my clean hands in there and I start massaging. And I massage for about 10 minutes. Daikon radish makes an awesome ferment. It's really lovely and funky. And I've got some radish in this ferment as well, Miss Tanya. And then, so we massage for 10 minutes. And so by the end of that, you should be able to pick up a handful of your cabbage and squeeze it and wring it out. So like you're wringing out a dishcloth. That's how much liquid should be coming out. Yeah, daikon and carrots, excellent. And you will find daikon in my golden kraut recipe that Geeta referred to earlier. So then it all gets stuffed into a jar. Stuff it into a jar, push it down. I use a wooden spoon, I don't have anything flash. Push it down, and then I take one of the cabbage leaves and I pop that on top, because you want your precious shredded cabbage and salt to be submerged below the waterline, and so that protective layer is what might hit the air, and if anything's going to go moldy, it will be that. So that then sits there. I close it up, it sits there, and I like to have a crunchy ferment, so mine ferments for about 2 weeks, but you can leave it for 6 weeks. If you like yours to be uber nutrient dense and you like a funky ferment, you can leave it for 6 weeks. You just keep tasting along the way until you find just the right flavor for you. And that is how easy it is. It is super, super simple, and I encourage everybody to give it a go. Or a bit of ginger, bit of turmeric too, Miss Erin, yum. So there is one exception, right? Sometimes if you have a very dysregulated gut or if you suffer from histamine issues, then ferments may not be your friend. So maybe if they are not agreeing with you, you want to defer eating your ferments until you have healed your gut to the extent that you actually tolerate them. But these babies, especially if you have a shorter ferment, these babies will be easier to tolerate than things like kefir and kombucha. So they're gentler on the gut, especially with a shorter ferment, than some of the fermented drinks. Not wrong with being an Irish German mutt. So, any questions? Any questions about ferments? Reduce the histamine. Absolutely. Absolutely, Miss Tanya. I know you're working hard on that. So, some of my favorite flavor combos. My house kraut, red and green cabbage with carrot and apple. My winter kraut. So this is when it's, vegetables are seasonal. Cabbage and daikon and apple and pear. The golden kraut, which is cabbage and daikon, carrot, garlic, ginger and turmeric. And my super K kraut is cabbage, daikon, kale and carrot. So you can play with your flavors. You can do whatever you like. But what I would recommend is that you aim to add a tablespoon or two of fermented veggies to every savory meal that you have. You'll be doing your gut good. You'll be adding more vegetables to your plate. Tastes amazing. And it's so much fun. Truly. I sound like a nerd. I'm not really that sciencey, but it is a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite nutrient-dense hobbies that I've started since I started my AIP caper. Whew. There it is, your nutrient density nugget for the week. See you later, Miss Erin. Hi, Zoe. I'll pop a recipe up for you. Absolutely. I've got a few of them on my website. So, yeah, I'll share that with you. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining. So, 3 litres should keep David and me in kraut for a little bit of time. These will be ready for AIP Reset. If you're thinking about joining us, I'd love to see you. We start the next reset on the 1st of February. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you about the same time next week for our next nutrient density nugget. Over and out. Bye.